Hello, my name is George Moore, owner of Moore's Sewing Center in Southern California, and I'm excited to start our long arm quilting review, our quilting equipment review from the Grace Company. And we've got a lot of products to show you today. What I love about the Grace Company is that they truly do make products for all those both quilting enthusiasts or those who want to start the journey in quilting. Whether you want to use your domestic machine, they have a great product we're going to talk about, as well as long arm machines and automation. So we have a lot of special items to go over. But if you're familiar with our broadcast, we also want to give you a chance to win a prize. And so let's start with the first prize, first of three prizes here. And so let's bring that up here. We have this is by the Grace Company, like all the products tonight today, well, most of them are the Grace Company. This is called the Quilter's Combo. It has over a $65 value. It has a ruler, it has a rotary cutter, and some other items. And how can you win? You like, share, or comment. Now, this is just to get you going. We've got some big prizes coming here. And so I want my guys back in the crew here, they're going to tell me if there's any thumbs up. We got some like, share, comments coming there, or do we have to have more? Okay, we got some big stuff. Now, they can pull prizes off if I don't see a lot of attention. No, I'm just kidding. So we're going to announce the prize winners after February 14th, which is when the specials that we're going to announce, and most of them will actually be ending. But we were going to start with something that really, I think, has revolutionized the quilting industry, and that is the Grace Cutie Frame. And the Cutie Frame, why I say revolutionize it gives people a chance to discover how a long arm quilting frame works, even on the domestic frame. And so what I'm going to do is let's bring over my friends from Grace. And so, hey, how are you two?
Hey, George. How are you today?
I'm just wonderful. I'm just excited that we're starting this. We got so much to go over with. And so, Melinda, you and I worked at a couple of other events, but I want you to introduce your
My
companion there,
counterparts.
your partner in crime.
Yes, yes. So again, I'm Melinda Romero here with Grace Company, one of our account executives. Joining me today is Laurel Erznosnik, also an account executive here at Grace. Go ahead and say hello.
Yeah, hello. We're really excited to be here, especially with more sewing. We have done, like George said, we've done a little bit with you guys before, and I know this is really exciting to do a live event because I know Moore's is really good at doing those. So this is a great opportunity for us to share a little bit about our Grace products with you guys.
Well, what I like about live events is that, as my crew here will attest, you never know what I'm going to do. Sometimes I just switch it all up, and we might do it. So that's really the whole thing. Now we're going to start with the Cutie, and I know that you're going to give us a little demonstration on that. Then we have a very special buy, don't we? I mean, the price on this Cutie, I'm not going to reveal it yet, but it is incredible. It's amazing.
It is. And George, I love how you said that this particular product revolutionizes quilting, whether it's a beginner quilter, an intermediate quilter. A Cutie can be so much for all different types of people, whether, again, they have just a small space, whether they're going to be their dedicated quilting frame, or even just used as an accessory. We've heard that term so many different times. It's portable, storable, relocatable. It's phenomenal to help so many quilters everywhere in so many different ways.
When I do face-to-face events, I ask people questions. I want them to raise their hands. So I want people to virtually raise their hand if they have a Cutie. And if you're raising your hand, the next step for a Cutie is to put a Qnique machine on the Cutie, because you can put up to a 19-inch machine on that, correct?
Yes. So we have 5 different Qnique machines that will work on the Cutie. We have our 16X manual, our 16X, 16X Elite, our 19X, and our 19X Elite. So again, great stepping stone just from your domestic machine into the mid and long arm machines.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to give it over to you two, and you can go ahead and show us some of the wonderful things about the cutie.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, George. So, Laurel, I think George, really kind of hit it right from the start. I see some comments already coming in for people that have the cutie. Go ahead, though, in the comments, put a 1 if you do not have a cutie. We'll give people just a minute, to get those comments coming in.
Yes, it's a really wonderful thing. And this is something, Melinda and George did talk about, but it is something that revolutionized the quilting world because it's wonderful that it doesn't require dedicated space. It is small, it is portable. I think you had someone once who I believe's husband is a trucker,
yes,
right? And so they're on the go often. And so she actually got the cutie frame. I think she stores it. And then when they stop somewhere, she pulls it out and she starts quilting with it, right?
Yes, yep. So from time to time, she'll call and order thread, order needles, order bobbins, and it's always a fun game. Well, where are you today? What part of the country are you in today? So I love
awesome. Yeah, wonderful. And then I know you asked to put a 1 in the chat if they don't have the cutie frame. It looks like there are a couple different people that don't have the cutie frame. So this is going to be a wonderful opportunity, and George did touch on it there as well, as we won't give it away quite yet, but the price of the cutie frame is the absolute lowest it has ever been. Ever.
So without further ado, let's, take a couple side steps and, just show the cutie. I know it's hard to see on camera, but literally the cutie is 4 feet wide. We have the cutie just set up on a lifetime table. It's a folding table, 4 foot by 2 foot on the table itself. That's really all the space anybody would need to set up a cutie. What I love about the cutie, again, George kind of touched on it already. You can start your cutie and quilting journey with a domestic machine, or you can upgrade to a Qnique machine. It's very simple. So Laurel, go ahead and tell us, what are some of your favorite features about the cutie?
So the cutie is a very unique item and it holds a special spot on my heart because I have not done a whole lot of quilting, and the first bit I ever did was actually on the cutie frame with a domestic machine. So it's a wonderful thing where, Melinda, you hit it, and it's really neat that you can see, as we showed here, it's on a fold-out lifetime table. So this goes back to the feature of where it doesn't require a dedicated space, enough so that you can even use a fold-out table with it. I love to show that as well because sometimes people talk about like, well, it's a smaller item, is it going to support my machine, because my machine sometimes is a bit bigger and a little bit heavier. And yes, absolutely, it is going to fully support it. Again, you can even simply put it on a lifetime table because it is meant to be a much more smaller space that it sits in, and it is very light as well. So again, it can easily be brought with you on the go. It can be, set up and used, and once you're done, it can be stored in a closet, under a bed, anywhere like that. So it is something that is nice and small for you. But I love, one thing that I really love about it is even though it is small and it sits about the 4 feet, it can still do any size quilt.
Yes, and when we mean any size, we literally mean
any
anything
size.
as small as a table runner, up to a crib size, up to a king or larger. So when you think about it, and you're looking at just at the footprint of the frame, I know when I first heard it, the wheels in my head started turning, and I was like, how is that possible? How? Tell me how. So, and it's a great way to quilt. So the cutie is what we can consider and call a hoop style frame. So when we're using a hoop style frame, we're going to actually quilt in zones. So this quilting area would be your first zone. If you have a table runner size or even a crib size, you may only have just one zone of quilting before you actually advance your quilt on the take-up rail. But if you have a larger project, you'll have fabric that actually hangs over the side of the frame. Once you've quilted your quilting area, and I like to use a chalk pencil or something to mark where my clips are being held, and then also where my last stitch was that I made. Once I've made those marks, I undo my fabric, and I'm going to shift the fabric to the other side. I'm moving my end point to now be my starting point. Now, depending on the size of your project, you may have 2 zones, 3 zones, I don't know, maybe even 4 zones, just depending upon how big your project is.
Yes, and part of it that is going to determine kind of how many zones you may have on your quilt is also going to be the throat space of your machine. So this one is really nice, where we do show right here with the Quilting 16-inch machine, so it does have a really nice throat space that sits at the 16 inches. But I'm going to grab this here. It's what we call the top plate and handles, so it's what's used if you're going to do a domestic machine with it.
Right?
So this is something that's really nice. It comes with it as well. So that's another question we get a lot, right? They're like, okay, so I see the Quilting frame, and especially at the price it's at now, it's a really, really good price. Is there anything else I need, to get started? And there are some things that are very, very helpful in getting you started on your quilting journey. But in a sense, everything you need to, pretty much pull it out of the box and set up is going to come with it. And this top plate and handles is one of those. So as you can see here, most of the time domestic machines don't have their own set of handles. So with it, we've given you those handles. And then it's really nice here as well that those handles are adjustable, so you can have them sit at whatever angle you want, and then they are able to pull in depth-wise as well.
Yes. Now, another great point. So I get asked all the time, can I do pantographs on the Quilting? The answer is yes. So while these handles, they're adjustable on the front of the frame, they can also be removed and inserted in the rear of the carriage. That way you can work behind the Quilting and do those pantographs or any tracing work or anything from behind.
Yes, yep, exactly. So it's really nice. It's a great way to be able to get into it because you can use your own machine. So you don't have to go, necessarily break the budget by starting off with a $20,000 system. You don't have to take out your living room couch to put in a frame. Very nice. It is portable, very light, is small, and then again allows you to use your own domestic machine, which is huge. And then I know I think there was a couple of questions that someone had mentioned, maybe some specific machines. There are a couple of things that can kind of help clue you in to where if it's compatible or not.
Yes.
The main one kind of goes back to that throat space of the machine. So that's measured from the back of the needle to the main body of the machine. So this open harp area is really where you want to measure, and typically for the Quilting we recommend at least 7 inches of throat space.
Right. Minimum 7. Up to a 19-inch throat.
Exactly.
Keep in mind, the smaller the throat space you have, the smaller quilting area you'll be able to bring your machine forward to be able to quilt. So again, smaller throat space, yes, it can accommodate and work on the Quilting, but again, it is going to be limited.
Yes, exactly. But really wonderful. Again, it's so nice that you can do any type of quilting you can do with mid or long arm, you can do with the Quilting, right? Melinda, you hit it right in the head. You can do the pantograph work. Some machines do even have the ability to have automation or quilt motion put on it, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So that's where it fully stitches everything out for you. You just kind of tell it where you want it to stitch. So again, you can do ruler work. You just need to make sure with your machine you can get a ruler base with a ruler foot. But again, just because you're using your own machine doesn't mean you're limited on what you can do even with this Quilting frame. And again, we say it's a Quilting frame, but more than anything, it's an accessory for your machine because again, it is a much lower cost. It is a really big space saving item. And so it's just really overall a wonderful way to get into quilting. So for those that put a 1 in the chat that don't have it, I'd highly recommend take a look, reach out to More Sewing because this is absolutely the time to buy it.
Yes, yes. Now, I saw one comment that a customer has had their Quilting for about 5 to 6 months, but it's still in the box. So
Gotta open it.
open the box, set up the Quilting. The instructions are phenomenal. I will pretty much guarantee you can set up the Quilting probably within 30 to 60 minutes following the directions. Super simple. Again, we don't want it to be challenging. We made it easy so people can get up and going very quickly.
Yes, so wonderful product again that really you can't go wrong with. We've even had people the other day who's like, well, I have the larger frame, but sometimes I go on Quilt Guild meetings, right? Or I travel a little bit. And so they're looking at the Quilting frame because it's just such a great way to be able to take it with you on the go. So again, it's even if you have something, it's something to look at. If you already have a frame, it's another great option to look at. And even, people often have multiple domestic machines. Sometimes you can even trade out and rotate between those domestic machines and use it on the cutie frame.
Yes. So we talked about one important measurement to know if your machine will work with the cutie. And again, that was the throat space. The second key thing that I always tell people or ask, do the feed dogs on your machine drop? Do they disengage? So to be able to use your machine on the cutie, those feed dogs do have to be able to drop.
Yes, absolutely. That's an important one because with it, it allows it to be able to, not grab the fabric and freely glide over that fabric.
Yes. So remember, when you think about it, we've been coloring, drawing, writing, since we've been 3, maybe 4 years old. We have learned to move whatever tool we're using over our paper. When we put a machine on a frame, we're mimicking that same movement. So it's a natural movement we've done forever, moving, in a sense, our needle over our fabric. And I will tell you, I've heard stories about people struggling and quilting and pushing all of their fabric through the frame. I'll tell you, Laurel, I don't have the gump in me to even want to attempt to do that. But putting your machine on the frame, it really truly makes quilting easy and accessible. And even if you thought, I'd never be able to do that, with the cutie, you actually can.
You can, yes. One of my favorite things is it is something that is super easy to get started on. So I would encourage you, if it's still in the box, pull it out. And the biggest thing is to just get some fabric that, isn't necessarily a quilt top, right? So just get some batting and your backing. I would use the same thickness of batting you typically do on a quilt. That way when you transfer over, it's gonna feel the exact same. But just give it a go. Just try it. Just move it, do the circle, try and see if you can do a star, try and do a square. All those different shapes, because it really is something, once you're able to get your hands on and do, is a very easy thing. And there was actually, it was really sweet at a show once. It was this younger kid, I think he was about maybe 11 or 12, and he came up and he's like, can I give it a go? And I said, absolutely. And he did it, and he sat there, I think, for the next 10 minutes, and he just was going. But it really is something that is super easy and very friendly to use, so anybody can do it. And it is something you can pick up on very easy, because I think that's another thing, okay, well, I can do it, but how good is it? How long is it gonna take me to get it? And it really doesn't take that long at all. And like Melinda said, it's kind of like doodling. So sometimes if there is a pattern that you're like, I'm looking to recreate this pattern, doodle it out. Actually
practice.
Doodle it out on a piece of paper with a pen or pencil. That way when you come over to this, it's gonna give you that same type of motion and movement.
Yes. Now, I did see a couple of questions, and you briefly touched on it. So all of our frames, all of our machines are fully compatible with automation.
Yes.
Including the cutie. So again, if you're not maybe into free motion quilting, or you just want, to produce a project that, in a sense has that professional look, each and every stitch, stitched out perfectly, automation will work on the cutie.
Yes, and I love the automation. And again, we'll go over this a little bit further in this live video, so please stay tuned. But it does have the ability to work on the cutie frame. And sometimes some questions that tend to pop up, it's like, okay, well, how does it work? It actually is the same idea of how you manage the fabric. It does it in zones or sections. So it's super simple. You lay it out, you say, hey, this is the area I have, and it's gonna know that that's the certain area it has to stay within. And then once you're done, it knows you're shifting to the next section. So very, very easy to use. And again, does have the ability to work with the cutie frame and the Qnique machines, and even some domestic machines. But for that, I would say reach out to Moore so we can make sure to get you guys all the information you need.
Yes. All right, so Laurel, I feel like we've gone over most everything with the cutie frame. Again, it's a great standalone, dedicated frame by itself. It's a wonderful accessory for our sewing room at home. It's a great gift for yourself, or for your best friend or sister or mom. The cutie can help you do so much. Can you think of anything we may have missed so far?
Not necessarily. I do want to mention a couple key things that allows the cutie frame to really work best. Part of it is actually the clips that sit on the frame. So with the clips, they actually are a star shape while the rail itself is square. Yeah, so maybe if you want to pull it off from your side there. So this is the clip, like you can see. So this is the front clip here, and then I'm going to pull this back. Maybe Melinda, you step forward so they can see our backs to see the rail. So the rail here, again, you can see is square. So what that does is it allows it to interlock with the star or the flower shaped clips, so that when you clip it on, it actually becomes like a ratcheting system. So this is a really key thing, because most rolling rail frames have that feature, but with the hoop, you want to have that same ability with it. So that's where, again, these key shapes come into place, so you can always have a nice taut area that you're working on when quilting.
Yes, and we could see the ridges in that quilt clip. There we came back. So again, with the rail itself just being square, the ridges in the clip itself, just like Laurel said, act as a ratcheting mechanism to tighten or loosen your fabric on your frame. And there's a question, does the cutie sit on a table? Yes,
it does.
So again, this is our lifetime folding table. It's a 4 foot by 2 foot table. All you need is a solid 4 foot by 2 foot area for the cutie to sit on. So again, whether it's in your sewing room, in your living room, in your bedroom, at the cabin, anywhere, the cutie can go with you. Again, you just need that solid 4 foot by 2 foot space.
Yes, and then there was one more question that came in by Elaine. It looks like it says, how are the clips on the side, or I think it was, yeah, Elaine. So how difficult is it to get the clips to keep the fabric tight? It actually is really easy. So the key to it, you can see here really is, once you have the back fabric clipped, is to actually pull this front fabric just a little bit, and then we recommend actually start from the back. So you have it, again, I'm gonna simply hold it, and usually you'd move your machine off to the side. You're gonna grab it, and then I'm gonna start from the back. The reason I start from the back is sometimes with fabric, it may have a little bit of bumps or anything on it. So this way, when I pull it forward, you can see it's helping to actually pull out some of those bumps that are there. And then super simple, I come in with the palm of my hands, and I actually just come and I push down on the clip. And you can see right there, it automatically actually tightened it for me. So super easy thing to use, very, very simple. And it is something that there are some wonderful videos, and I know Moore's is a great resource. So on questions or anything on how to use it, how to attach fabric, they are wonderful to reach out to and can help answer any of those questions.
And there was another question about the clips on the side. So yes, there are clips on the side. They have the same ridges as the clips in the front. So again, if you're hooping your fabric, whatever side you have fabric hanging over, use these clips just to help keep that fabric nice and taut as you're quilting.
Yes, wonderful. So yeah, that really is, I think, some of the key ingredients that allows the cutie frame to work and why it's so wonderful. And again, really it's an accessory for your machine. So there are, and we say pretty much all domestic machines can fit on it. Again, it kind of goes back to some of those key features that we mentioned to make sure that it is going to work at its best for you. But it really overall is a wonderful accessory for your machine.
Yes. And with that being said, one last question. Is there a laser attachment available for domestic machines? So yes, we have tons of different accessories for domestic machines, but also our unique machines. Lasers being one of those for both types of machines. So you can certainly go onto Moore's website. They should have what we call the Gracie laser. That will work with your domestic machine.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
all right, George, any questions that you might have, or
Yes,
any comments that you think we may have missed?
I do actually. Let's bring them both in together here. We changed our thing up here. So a couple things. Number one, I should have took notes. When I was answering questions, a lot of questions coming in, which is awesome. Number one, you mentioned that you must have a machine that can lower the feed dogs. That's not 100% always. There's a Janome machine that has a plate that covers the feed dogs, and that would be like the 1600, the HD9, some of the older Foff Grand Quilters, and those are wonderful machines on this. So the key is that the feed dogs are covered or retracted so that as you move it, that they don't get snagged.
Yes,
The other
great
thing
point.
is,
Thank you.
yeah, but also if there are any questions, let's pop up the customer service email. And I used to put my personal email. This is better because customer service at moors-show.com. This goes right to my wife, so you know it's I'm I'm gonna get it. Sometimes at all hours, but, and it's streaming on the bottom there because she is awesome. She wants to take care of you, and so if you have questions like you asked. If people want to know what kind of machine will work with the automation, um, often she'll say, "I'll get right back to you," and it wakes me up because she's checking her email late at night, and I go, "Yeah, I will." But I wanted to just to let you know that we're here for you, and it was a lot of questions about the cutie. But I want to go over some of the specials that we have here. So we're going to go ahead and come with the
Please
full
do.
screen here, and we'll be back with Melinda and Laurel shortly. But we have a very special buy on the cutie. Let's go ahead and show this. So this is the lowest price, and they adjusted my price, so I ordered up on them. But I will tell you, as of February 14th, that's going to be the last day to get this, $489. Now this has a retail price of I think $11.99. So this is huge. I mean, that's a huge discount. And so $489. We just got another shipment in. You can click on the link in the description, or go to moors-show.com and go right to the cutie, or give us a call at 1-800-865-9664. But you want to wait because there's something else. Now, Melinda swore me to secrecy on this. You won't see this anywhere on our website. Only if you're viewing this presentation, you will get a bonus by either, let's go ahead and bring the bonus up here. Okay, so if you, at checkout, type in the notes virtual, or when you call in either to the 800 number or stores, you say virtual presentation. What will happen is that you order this cutie frame, they're going to ship that cutie to you, but we have a limited number of these bungee sets coming in, and these are perfect for the end of each side for keeping the center taut. It's a $50 value, $49.95, and that's only through this event. This is our exclusive. In addition to this amazing deal, you get this, but this will end on the 14th as well. And it does not count. I know I'm going to get emails. I bought mine 2 weeks ago. No, it doesn't. It doesn't count a day ago because it's only for the ones I sell on this here. So I don't get the same benefit to pass it on to you. So unfortunately, that is a rule on this. But if you buy it now through the 14th, either on the website, again, type in virtual in the notes, or call in, mention the virtual special, you will get this as well. So that's an exciting thing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a special package I put together. We'll bring up the card on the Start to Quilt Right package. Now, as Melinda mentioned, is that you need to have at least an 8-inch opening. And some people have a machine that has a 10-inch opening, but I really wanted to put together a package with one of our most popular sewing machines. That's the Baby Lock Jazz 2. It has a 12-inch opening, and it's a basic mechanical machine that has a lot of value for an economical price. But I put together a package with the cutie because this has 12 inches of space, and I think it's perfect. So we're going to go ahead and run a video that I've created on this, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. Take the card off. You know, quilting has truly been taking our industry by storm. So many people are enjoying taking beautiful fabric and cutting it all up and putting it back together in an amazing masterpiece. But so often, your sewing machine can hold you back. This is why I'm very excited to introduce a very special package that I put together with the Baby Lock Jazz 2. This is one of our most popular models, and it has 12 inches of space, which gives you a lot more room to work with. But I'm also combining this with the Grace Cutie frame. Now, when you do free motion with a sewing machine, it's so difficult because you're moving the fabric. And the problem is that's not natural. When you're working with a frame, you're actually moving the machine. Now, the Grace Cutie frame is a portable frame. It actually can be placed on a 4-foot table. Yet,
This machine loads on this platform and moves so freely so that I can do free motion like a long arm machine. And so we're not limited to 4-foot size quilts though. This has a unique hooping system. It's actually called a hoop style quilt frame. And I can actually, if you look at the side of the quilt, the whole thing has clamps on it so that I can clamp up to a king size quilt on this frame. And so the benefit of this here is, you see here, I can move, in this case to Jazz 2, so smoothly. And it actually comes with extensions for your foot pedal so that I can attach my foot pedal and have enough length so that I can put it on the floor. And with these handles, I can move the machine across the quilt, creating that beautiful meandering, which is called stippling. But let's say you want a little help. That's why they have the optional stitch regulator called the Sure Stitch Ultra. Now this works with many machines, but it specifically can be worked with the Jazz 2. So I select that. Now all my stitches are uniform very easily. Now I love some of the features of the Jazz 2, like the needle down feature. Helps it be so as I baste along the top of this quilt, I can end with the needle down and then reposition everything just the way I want. And so truly this package is amazing to start quilting, and it's very affordable. Now, the Baby Lock Jazz 2 is an incredible machine. There's a reason why it's our best seller.
It also has 28 built-in stitches, anywhere from decorative stitches to utility stretch stitches to overlock stitches, top stitching, applique stitches, crazy quilt stitching, as well as a auto-sizing one-step buttonhole. Now the needle up and down control combined with this knee lift gives you the ability for hands-free sewing. So if I'm sewing to the edge and I don't want to take my hands off the fabric, I can simply lift the foot up and with the knee lift, and then I can turn the fabric. Now this knee lift is so responsive that, as you see with this applique, as I'm going around this heart, I can pivot in little movements without having to, again, take my hands off the fabric. And that is something that is wonderful. Now, because this is a mechanical machine, you have a little more control than computerized machines, especially with the width and the length. It has these micro adjustments that gives you the ability to fine tune it to do tapering and applique functions. Also, you have an adjustable pressure, and this gives you a lot more control in working with heavy fabric and knit fabric and sheer fabric. You can even adjust it so you can turn on a dime like you see with this fringe attachment, as well as it will help you with your doing free motion. And of course, it has an automatic needle threader and a quick set bobbin for your convenience.
Now this package, if we combine both retail values, would retail for $2,598. Now, long arm machines go for a lot more than this, so that's very, very reasonable to start off the right way for quilting. But we actually have a very special buy now until Valentine's Day. We've combined these two together, and you can buy both the Baby Lock Jazz 2 and the Grace Cutie frame for $1,288. We're offering free shipping across the country, as well as we have interest-free payments. So give us a call at 1-800-865-9664 or click on the link to order this now.
All right, so what I like about that package is that it is, as I mentioned, the Start to Quilt Right package. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to discover how much easier it is to quilt on a frame, and then the 12 inches space is nice. But is that where you may stay forever? No, your idea me, you may grow to a bigger machine or a bigger frame, and that's what it's all about, is when you enjoy working with quilting and it becomes a pastime. So that's why this is a Start to Quilt Right package. And again, let's bring up the pricing again. This, you'll never see this again. I don't believe, because I've never seen it before, with the two products coming together at the price of $1,288. And so you can give us a call at 1-800-865-9664 or click on the link to purchase. But you know there's a virtual bonus, so let's bring up the bonus. That same thing with the bungees. Type in virtual at the notes in the checkout, or when you call in, mention the virtual bonus. And again, we have a limited number of those coming in. The machines and the frames will ship ahead of time. The bungees are coming to us next week, and then we'll ship it out there. But that's a special bonus here. So now, what are we going to do next? So let's talk about a frame. Okay, so we have a brand new item that was introduced, I believe, about a month ago, and it's called the Grace Quilter's Evolution Frame. And they have both I'm going to show the hoop style, and then Melinda and Laurel is going to show the rolling style. But I really think they all both can be hoop or rolling style. And I'm going to show that to you. So let me give you a little demonstration on this here. I have here, this is a 5-foot frame, and we're going to look at it just as a whole real quickly here. So this is 5 feet, but it's a hoop style frame. So this would be a grown-up version of a Grace. And what's unique about it, they mentioned that the ratcheting, well, this is a ratcheting. So you hear that's a ratchet here. And when we go on the back over here, we're going to come over to the backside camera here. I want you to see over on this side, it also has rails. And normally we use it as a hoop. You wouldn't have this on here, but I wanted you to see it because it is a rolling frame as well, where you could have it attached, and you've got there's some bungees. You can use bungees on it on both sides. And also it even comes with leader cloth. So it could be a rolling frame, but it's also a hoop frame. And so we're going to go back and talk about the hoop frame. And so what's unique about this, I've got this quilt. This is not quite, it's a little bit bigger than almost a queen size quilt. And the benefit of this here is that when you're working with a hooping frame, is that it's not closed off, okay? You can go over the sides. And so that's the benefit. And we're going to bring this over on this side as well, is that you're not limited. So let's think about this. What if you don't have a lot of space, okay? What if, let's go to the full size here. What if, and I'm moving I was having fun stitching, so I'm hiding all my stitching here. See, the thing is some people, at least in Southern California especially, we don't have a lot of space, but yet you want to hoop a king size quilt. This can definitely do it. In fact, in some ways, I like this better. I don't like loading and rolling up my quilt. I like working with this where I can quilt as I go. So what do we do with this here? So now we have these special clamps, and this is where the magic comes in. So let's come to this side right here, okay? So I usually do the back for these things are amazing. They're easy to open up, but they have a lot of pressure. And I'm going to talk about this magic quilt, this magic strap here. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to lock this in like so, and that holds it there, okay? So far so easy, okay? So we're going to take, I'm going to do the next one over here, okay? So I'm going to get the back secure. You can see how that actually rolls, but it's locked in with a ratchet. And I've got one more over here. Okay, so now, why are we going to do this here? So now, this is where I love this here. And we're going to come around the front. So as Laurel showed it, she usually takes and rolls them out like this. Well, I do that too to get started, but there's something magical about this frame. And it's just, you're going, he keeps saying the word magic, okay? Well, so first of all, these ratchets, let's see if we can come closer here. So this actually has all these, like the star, okay? So it's all these little ridges, okay? Well, that's what this fits into, and it's very easy. You don't have to have a lot of strength in your hands, and I keep wanting this straight here, okay? So, but what I want to do is I want to just take this here and just lightly attach it on there. See how nice it is? Okay. So now, come on this side here, do the same thing. But the magic's going to happen, and here's the magic, okay? Watch this, and I want you to see, because those are on ratchets, let's come in closer. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it pulls it nice and tight. And so I can either, now on the sides here, I can either use the bungees, but because it's going over the top, I would just take this, and I would just take look how nice it is here. So I get excited about this stuff because let's come around this side. I know what's out there and what you have to work with. And so there's still another magical thing that's going to show here. So that's nice. You don't want it too tight, but this is nice and even. Okay. Now, here's the magic. Watch this. Now, you can see I've been having fun playing with this here, but look at this. I'm going to roll it up. Oh, this is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Because what happens, this little latch right there holds that in place. I know people are going, oh my goodness, out there, because you know what you have to deal with. Okay. And so this frame is designed. I know people are going to ask what kind of machines. It's designed for the Qunique, the Grace Qunique frames. And so we're going to machines. Sorry, the Grace Qunique frames. And so that I'm going to show a machine a little later. But let's switch it over to Melinda and Laurel, and they're going to show the 8-foot version. Remember, I have a 5-foot version. You can get it in 8, 10, or 12 feet. We're going to talk about that here. So let's go ahead and give it back to the ladies there.
Thanks, George. All right, so it's a magical frame.
It really is.
I love that explanation because it's like a unicorn. Like everybody, is we're always after that one thing that is gonna just make life 100 times easier. As a quilter, this frame literally will be the last frame you would ever have to buy.
Yes, so that is key. So part of what it was is what George showed you is the Evolution hoop frame. So that one sits at the 5 feet. It is really nice because, again, if you don't have a whole lot of space, again, it sits at the 5 feet, doesn't take up a whole lot. But then George showed it there as well, is it does have the ability, if you're doing a quilt that is smaller than 5 feet, you can actually turn it into a rolling rail frame. Now that has not seen before, so that is a really unique thing where often, with hoop frames, like, hey, this is really good. I am doing a larger size quilt. However, this time I'm doing a smaller one. Do I have to hoop it? And the answer used to be yes. Now with that frame, you don't have to.
Right.
So it's really, really nice. And Melinda, you said it as well, it is the last frame you'll ever have to get, because if you start out with that hoop frame, it has the ability to actually expand to this frame here. So you don't need to go fully reinvest in a whole new frame. There are a couple extensions that you can get that allows you to go into this.
Right, so, and it's a simple conversion. So again, George had the 5-foot frame. Today we have the 8-foot rolling rail frame. As far as extensions, there's 2 foot, 3 foot, another 5 foot.
Yes.
You can go anywhere from that 5-foot footprint all the way up to a 12-foot footprint in your quilting area.
Yes, and this is also a really unique thing as well, that this frame can conform to fit the space that you have much more. So typically before it was either a 5-foot and then you'd go next to, an 8-foot, a 10-foot, or 12-foot. With this, there are 2-foot and 3-foot extensions. What that means is if you start out with the 5-foot, you can go up to a 7-foot, an 8-foot, a 9-foot, a 10-foot, an 11-foot, or a 12-foot.
Yes. So, to be able to customize a frame in that way, it's revolutionizing. It's phenomenal.
It really is.
Like I said, or what George started, it's magical. I added to it, it's a unicorn, because as a kid, we were always looking for a unicorn or a 4-leaf clover, and it's like a 1 in a million that you actually find one.
Yes, and now we've brought one to you. The search is over, right?
Yes.
So it's really nice, and there are some key things that really help make this a standalone in the industry, and even for Grace. So part of it is the clips that George showed there. So they are a little bit different, and you can see we actually took that same star shape and put it on the rail here. So that's what allows these clips to sit so nicely on the rail, and then allows it to be a ratcheting system.
Yes.
And then with it as well as the ratchets are different as well. So this time they are metal. So the ratchet itself is metal, and then the ratchet stop is also metal.
I want to ask the audience a question. So again, whether you're a new quilter, have helped your grandma quilt, or you've been quilting for a long time yourself already, probably stemming from a wood frame to a metal frame. how many of you have been in the middle of a project? Go ahead and put a 2 in the comments. But how many of you have been in the middle of a project and, I don't know, maybe a tooth on your ratchet broke? Or
Yes.
something isn't quite right with your frame because it's a plastic piece that, as much as we want those to last forever, plastic isn't going to. So put a 2 in the comments if your previous, possibly even current frame has ever failed you in one way or another.
Yes, I know that definitely has happened. I've had people, not necessarily where it even quite broke, but it kept slipping for some reason. So they were on this part, and for this customer, it was a very detailed part they were trying to do. And so it kept slipping on them. And so with it, they actually ended up having to go back through and kind of unpick a lot of it because it kept slipping for them. So now with this, we do have those metal, again, ratchet itself as well as the ratchet stop. So that is never going to be an issue again for you.
And if we could, let's just take a quick peek.
It's gonna be on this side here. So this is the ratchet. So you can see here, this is the metal actual ratchet stop itself here. And then on the inside, oh, you can even hear it there, right? You can hear it engage and snap into place. And again, you can see the metal teeth on here that's going to help hold it fully in place for you. So again, you don't have any slips or potential breaks on the ratchet.
It'll never fail you.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. And this frame, as we are kind of getting it, a shot of it as well, is it's a much sturdier frame. So this was odd when I first got into quilting, and I didn't realize it, but sometimes I was setting up a frame, it was a larger one, they're like, kick out the legs of your frame. I was like, what?
Come on, what does
Kick it?
that mean?
I was like, what does that mean? Kick out the legs of my frame, right? I was like, huh. And then someone had to come and show me, because sometimes what happens is it can bend slightly, and so it can actually
say bend. I would say bow.
It bows, right.
Yeah.
It can bow just a little bit. And so sometimes what they say is kick it out so it sits it back up straight. With this frame and with the design of it, you don't ever have to do that again. It's a much sturdier frame. Again, it's bolted to a way that it is just always going to stand straight up, and there is no more bowing that happens with it. And again, that's where you can see a little bit of a close-up there. This is, again, the ratchet stop here that is metal with the teeth. And then again, the ratchet itself inside is metal as well. So super nice feature to have with it.
Yes. So again, you were talking about the construction. Even our previous frames, yes, we started with wooden frames. We advanced to metal frames, steel frames. The Evolution frames, the Hoop and the Elite, they're still a metal frame, steel frame construction. But again, it's just, it's built so much sturdier. It is. It's built to last, and again, built so it won't fail the quilters at home.
Yes, and even with the frames, so with the Evolution Hoop that George showed us in this larger version, that's the 8-foot, which is the Elite version, the rails themselves are much thicker as well. Because what happens, and I hate to say this, but I've done it myself, is with the front rail is you're not supposed to ever lean on it. But sometimes, like even now, I'm like, all right, and I lean, right? And so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes over time, if that continually happens, it can cause just a little bit of bowing. So now with it being so much thicker, there's not a concern with that. I mean, I wouldn't say go like fully lean on it, right? Just because you do want to make sure to keep your fabric and allow it to stay taut, so you don't want to distort it. But it is a much thicker rail, so that there is, again, eliminating that concern with it.
Yes. And I love the frame. It's versatile. We talked about versatility with our cutie. Again, we've continued down that path, and we have all year with our new products. The Evolution frames, they're no different. Again, revolutionizing the way people are quilting, helping people quilt. It's phenomenal. It's super exciting being in the quilting industry right now.
It is, and it's one of those great things, that we do get feedback from customers on things that happen, like for example, with the ratchet potentially breaking or slipping, or hey, I don't want to have to kick the legs of my frame out, right? And we take that and we've gotten that feedback and we've now fixed that for you. And so that's really all that we're trying to do, is help create things that just makes your whole quilting journey easier, right? Where we talked about the cutie frame, much lower end, it's safe spacing. saving up to now either the larger frame or the hoop one that George pointed out as well.
Right, right. So I do see a question from Elaine. Does this frame hoop as well as a rolling frame? So again, George had the hoop frame there with him. Here we have the rolling rail frame.
Yes, so really good question. So with the 5-foot Evolution hoop, it does have the ability to do the hooping style as well as the rolling. Once you start to go larger than the 5 feet, it becomes an only rolling rail frame. So great question. This one, like Melinda said, is just a rolling frame.
Yes, yes. All right, and then it looks like if we can scroll the comment up just a little, make sure we get the whole question. Does the 5-foot frame roll and hoop? And the answer is yes.
Yes, and then one thing I do want to point out as well with both the frames is some additional features that come with it that may have not previously come with a frame. One of them is table inserts. So they're actually black inserts that sit underneath where your machine itself, the base of it sits. So those can be used, sometimes I've used it as a table, sometimes we put scissors on there. That's where you can do pantograph work. And then George showed it there as well. It does come with bungee clamps as well as the corresponding leader claw size.
Yes.
So that's a really big feature that you no longer have to add into the price of the frame. It is, again, already included with it.
Yes, yes. And you know, Laurel, we worked on a project a couple of weeks ago for our education classroom. And we had the opportunity, a lot of us have put together this frame, a lot of us hadn't. I was one of those people that hadn't up to that point, but we helped our education team out for an upcoming class, and we put together probably, I think, at the end of the day, what was it, 12 frames all together.
Something like that.
Super simple, you know, as simple as the cutie. The instructions, phenomenal, easy to follow. Having those types of instructions with any product, not just a quilting frame, but with any product, it just gives you so much more faith that the product is going to do what we say it's going to do and work for you the way that it's supposed to.
Exactly, and kind of going on that same note of setting it up is that with it being a sturdier frame, it actually isn't super heavy. So sometimes I think by default when we say, okay, it's a sturdier frame, there's this extra bit of weight that tends to come with it. And that's not the case with this one. It is still an extremely sturdy frame, but it is still super light. We actually were at a show, and I believe it was a coworker of ours was trying to put a caster on the bottom. And so she actually ended up holding up the side of the frame so that could happen. And she's like, it was super light. She's like, I was surprised. She like braced herself. She was like getting ready, like lift with the legs. And she's like, oh, it almost was like, oh, okay, because it just,
by myself.
Exactly. So it is something that's very light and is super easy to assemble. So wonderful. And I think there is a question from Cheryl. It says, does the Evolution have an adjustable height feature? Yes, I love this feature. So I am a little bit of a taller person.
I'm a shorter person.
Yes, couldn't tell. So with it does have the ability to extend to a much higher position, which is super nice. So I sit at about 5'9", is about where I sit.
I'm about 5'2".
Right, and so for this is probably a little bit more of an ideal height for someone closer to Melinda's height versus me. I want something that's gonna come up a bit higher. So it does have the ability to fully extend to a height that is very comfortable for me. So.
And circling back, so I briefly brought up the instructions for the frame. In the instructions, it really kind of goes over a step-by-step to help you set the frame at the perfect height for you.
Yes.
So I thought that was amazing. I have never seen it. It's never been included with any of our other frames. I've never seen it, from any of our competitors. It's just a phenomenal, we're hoping it conveys that here at Grace, yes, we care about you. Just having that simple instruction and help feature.
Yes, yeah, it's a really nice thing, that it does from the beginning, so before machines on there, allow you to adjust the height to what is going to best suit you. So that's a really nice feature, so you're not having it fully set up with all the weight on there, so before that happens, you're able to adjust it.
Yes, yes, and from other demonstrations that we've done, again, you're 5'9", I'm 5'2", Mark is over 6 feet, he's what, 6'2", 6'3", something. He always sets frames up super high. And then I always feel goofy trying to demo something because it's set at such a high height. So love the feature, the ability, to make those height adjustments.
Yes. So I don't know if there's any other questions or anything.
One more.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it's from Cheryl as well. Will the Evolution work with a 20 or 21-inch throat?
And the answer is yes. Yes, yes.
Absolutely, yes. These are wonderful frames that do have the ability, and especially with the hoop, it can accommodate any of the Qnique lines. So from the 16 to 19, even up to the 21-inch can be put on the Evolution hoop, or this one we have behind us here, which is that Evolution Elite frame.
Yes, yes. So again, great question. And again, we design our product with quilters in mind. With feedback we've heard from what they want, what they need out of their equipment. So,
Yes.
all right.
Wonderful. But yeah, I don't know, George, if you maybe want to give us a little bit of kind of maybe what that pricing looks like for the Evolution hoop and then this Evolution Elite rolling frame.
All right, absolutely. Let's come over here. I think my sound's back on. And so I want to, first of all, reiterate how easy this is to assemble. The instructions with the Grace, that comes with the Grace frames, is truly so very easy to follow step by step. I'm the type, I just start putting things together. And I've done this for a while, but I find it's always better to follow the instructions. I don't end up with extra parts. So they've really made it so easy. And there's even videos out there on how to do this. But we do have an incredible buy on both the different styles here. So first of all, the frame that I have here, the 5-foot Quilters Evolution hooping frame, has a regular retail price of $26.99.95, and right now it's on sale for $22.99. But also, I'm paying your shipping on this here. So I'll have this actually shipped direct from Grace to you. But if you bought it from them, they charge you shipping. I'm going to be paying your shipping. So that's something special for this virtual event. Now, the next slide here, it shows the other models. They call it the Quilters Evolution Rolling Elite Frame. And this would be either in the 8, 10, or 12-foot combination. And it's $42.99 on sale for $33.99. And again, I'm paying the shipping. We have it directly shipped from Grace. Now, how do you order? You can click on the link in the description, and it will go right to our landing page that has all the featured items. It'll have all the Grace long arms and the accessories and software, but we also have the featured items, which are the ones we're talking about. Or you can call us at 1-800-865-9664 or email us at customerservice@moores-sew.com. So these are incredible. Now, what I really feel is that a lot of people, in fact, let's bring the ladies back in. I want to have a joint conversation about this here. Maybe are you ready? Okay. I threw this off on you here. Let me stand in the middle here. I gave a script that this is what we're going to do, but I told you I might change it. So here I am. So the thing about this, there's a lot of machines out there. People have put the Qniques on the Cuties, on the, what's some of the other models that you have on the other hoop style frame you have? Your Grace frame.
The name of it, so like our Q-Zone hoop frame.
That's just slipped my mind. Those are wonderful frames, but the frame makes the machine. And if you have a Qnique model and you're using one of those other frames, you might consider, if you have room, go all as big as you can.
I always tell people that if you have the room,
do the bigger.
Go big, or just
go, or go home. Go big or go home.
Yes.
So the point is that the machine feels better on this frame, and the fact that, I don't know if you heard, I'm paying their shipping. I think that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It is.
It's actually a really good deal, because especially as you start to get into these frames, they are a bit heavier, in shipping, and then they start to get into larger boxes. There's multiple boxes, so the shipping very quickly can add up to an additional, sometimes $500, give or take a little bit. So that is an amazing deal.
Now I have to say this disclaimer. Here's a small disclaimer. That's in the contiguous United States. So That means
There you go.
Alaska and Hawaii.
That's good.
I'll make it very reasonable, but there is so much of a charge. But what I'll do is I'll take what I would normally be paying, and it'll be a good deal for you. So the point I'm making,
That's awesome.
if you're ever going to get this frame, now until the 14th is your time. It truly is the best time here. But now I'm going to start talking about the machine that's really our featured machine, and that's the 19X machine here. And so we actually, the Unique products, I love the Unique products. They're so well built. They're so intuitive, and also for what you get for the money compared to, I saw several other brands, they are really incredibly priced. So what we're going to do, I'm skipping ahead in my agenda. Let's go ahead. I want to have you show, you have on that frame the 19X, right?
We do. So we have two machines on this frame, the 19X and the 19X Elite. We also have automation paired with the 19X to show as well. Okay. So you said you were fast forwarding.
I am, but you know what I did? We have another prize.
Gotta do the prize.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Gotta do the prize.
So we're going to quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to full screen so I can show the prize, and then I'm going to give it right back to the gals from Grace here. So what's the prize? Oh my goodness. We got the prize. Like, share, comment, and you have a chance to win a 5-foot luminous light bar. Okay. This has just shy of a $500 value. Like, share, comment. Share. I love the share because then you're telling people, come and look at this here, because you could win this here. And again, we're going to announce the winners on our Facebook and Instagram page, and also we'll announce on YouTube who won, and you just contact us and get this here. So that's an awesome prize. Like, share, comment. Now let's give it over to Melinda and Laurel, and they're going to demonstrate the Unique 19X. So let's take that off there and go back to there you go. Gotcha. All right, so go ahead and demo
awesome.
that machine.
Awesome. So again, we have the 19X and we have the 19X Elite. We've paired the 19X with our automation. So again, all of our machines are compatible with all of our frames. Automation, again, compatible with all of our machines and all of our frames. So again, if you want to be a free motion quilter, you don't have to get the automation. If you want the automated quilting, go ahead and opt for the automation. There's different products, different, so much what you can do to kind of create your own unique quilting
setup.
Thank you.
Yes.
What I'm looking for.
Yes.
We have the tools for you.
Absolutely. And again, it is absolutely wonderful where you do have the ability to get just the machine, and it can fit on pretty much any of our frames now here as well. So again, it's, hey, what space do I have for a frame? What budget am I looking for? So really wonderful. It can fit whatever you are looking to do with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this specific machine. So again, this is the 19X machine. We do have the Elite, but this one is a little bit different. So you can see it has a bit of a smaller screen. So actually it's, I would say, usually a typical size screen for what you find with mid-arm machines in the industry. So this is very standard. With the Elite version, we've done a bit more, and we've put in
it's a 7-inch touch screen.
Yes, exactly. So this one is still really nice that with the features you still have the touch screen ability with it. So really nice with it, and we'll go ahead and go into more details with it. So just really quickly to give you an overview of some of the features that come with this machine and the stitching. One of them is a precise mode. So this is actually where stitch regulation is built into the machine itself. So sometimes, especially if you're going from a domestic machine, they often do not have that feature. With this, it does have it. So it has a precise mode, which means it's going to stitch exactly with you. So if I don't move the machine, it doesn't stitch. The moment I start moving it, it then will begin stitching and will match the pace that I move it with its stitching.
And I've quilted on the Cutie with a domestic machine. I've done it without regulation, and I'm awful My stitches are so
It's hard.
inconsistent, and I know how to drive. I know how to drive a stick shift, but I cannot get the coordination of using the presser foot and moving the machine across my frame. My stitches are all over the place. If I have any opportunity to use a machine that has stitch regulation, hands down, that's the machine I'm going to choose. So I love that it's built in with our machine. I would say for the handful of projects I've done and the one that I'm currently working on, that precise mode is going to be kind of my go-to mode because it is so simple. It's intuitive, easy to use. I love it.
Yes, it is a really nice one because it puts you in full control, we say. So again, if I don't move the machine, it's not going to stitch. If I'm ready to move and I want it to stitch faster, all I got to do is move my machine faster. The same thing if I want to slow down, simply move the machine a bit slower. So it's really nice. You are in full control with that mode. The next mode it has is a cruise mode. Thank you. So the cruise control cruise mode is like the cruise control in your car, where you can have it go at a set speed, so you can actually adjust, and it'll sit there and it'll just stitch at whatever speed you want it to. But then as you start to move the machine, it'll kind of kick it into that stitch regulation mode. So again, just like you would on your car, you can speed up or slow down, but it'll also go just a set speed for you.
Yes, and I would say that's probably used mostly if you're micro stippling or filling in a small area, possibly even a larger area in your quilt. So again, you just want that constant movement. That cruise mode is going to suit that perfectly for you.
Right, and then another mode that it has here as well is a manual mode. So that's the cruise mode and then the manual mode. So again, the manual mode actually is where it takes out the stitch regulation. So it allows it to function just like it would a domestic machine. And this one is also, it kind of goes back to similar when you're trying to fill in an area. And then sometimes some people just prefer to do it in that type of mode. So that's where we do give you that full range. And then as you can see there as well, there was a basting stitch. So you could do a short, medium, and long basting stitch as well within this machine.
Yes. I've dabbled with the manual mode on a Quilting machine. I'm getting the hang of it. My stitches are a little bit more consistent. But our educator, Carla, she does almost everything in that manual mode. And her stitches, they're consistent, they're the same size. Practice. That's all I can say. It's what I tell myself. Just practice doing it. I'll get better at some point. But I like being spoiled and using the regulated options.
Right, so really some wonderful features. Again, all those different modes do come with this 19X machine. And then a couple other features I do want to point out here as well with it is one of them is it does actually have an adjustable light by the needle here itself. So sometimes, and at first when it came out, I was like, okay, it's nice. It's be able to fully adjust it to what you want it to be. However, sometimes, and I found out the best time is really sometimes at night, you don't need it to be as bright as it is during the middle of the day. So again, it is an adjustable light to fit whatever time of day you may be working.
Yes, yes. So I would say, Laurel, I have two favorite features on the 19X machine. One being the standalone bobbin winder.
Love that.
There's, and they're so quick, so fast, under 2 minutes, you can have your bobbin wound. And 2 minutes is a long time. So that's an exaggeration. You can have your bobbins wound in a much quicker time than that. But not only the bobbin winder, but we have the built-in edge warning for free motion quilting on the 19X. So some people might say, well, what is edge warning? Why would I need that? Why would I want that? What do you say to those questions, Laurel?
So I think they're great questions and questions you should ask yourself, especially when looking at a machine, because sometimes there are certain features you want. I love to compare it to a car because some cars you're like, you know what, it's got to have this feature, right? And I think that edge warning is starting to become one of those things that you're like, I just want to have it. And so typically what it is, and sometimes this tends to happen a bit more with smaller throat space machines, but sometimes it, even on this one, which is why we have it, is you get a little bit caught up in what you're doing, right? In your quilting space, you're not paying attention to, hey, my machine's gonna hit the back of my, the back rail here. You're not paying attention to
Or
that.
if you're working on a particular block, and you may
Right.
not realize how close maybe to the edge of that block that you are.
Exactly. So that's where this edge warning feature comes in, and you actually get to set the area that you want. So it can be any size you want it to be there. And then that's where you can say, hey, I want it to set it off 1 inch or 1/2 inch. And not only does it have a visual warning, it also has an audio warning. And those are adjustable as well. So you can say, hey, I want just the light, or I want to just hear it. But really nice feature that, again, is going to help you stay within your quilting area. And one of those big things as well is, so I'm not going to potentially ruin my design as the back of my machine is going to hit this rail. So really wonderful feature. And again, it's starting to become one of those features that you're like, I just got to have it.
Yes, yes. And if you've ever used like our Sure Stitch Elite, that has the built-in edge warning
Right.
that you can set with it. And again, by using that type of a product or having that feature, you're in a sense spoiling yourself. And I would, in a sense, it would equate it to, again, back to the car analogy. If you buy a fully loaded car, or maybe you're on a trip and your car rental, it's a fully loaded car, and then you get home and get back in your
Not the
car
same.
and you don't have leather seats, or you don't have a sunroof, or my favorite feature in my car is I have a heated steering wheel, and I love it. And anytime I drive my husband's truck, he doesn't have that, and it's like, oh man, my hands are cold. So we spoil ourselves. But that edge warning, it's so beneficial. Hey, so easy to use to set up your quilting space. Once you use it, you'll think, how did I, do this before and not have that?
Yeah.
So.
It is really one of those things, again, that becomes a staple piece in what you want with quilting. So wonderful feature to have with it. And another feature that I really love about the 19-inch machines, and actually all of our machines now, is the adjustable handles. So this kind of ties back into the height adjustability on our frames as well, where with this, they do have the ability to fully adjust, whether it's height-wise, they can even extend out a bit further so that they can come out closer to you. And then the angle is fully adjustable as well. So you can see I pull this up, and again, I can come in and have it sit at whatever angle I want. And then again, you can see it even extends out here, so that it can come in and fit wherever you want it to sit. So sometimes I've had people that used to do the sit-down machine, so they used to feed it through. So they're used to having their hands like that. So when they moved into a machine, they said, you know what, this is actually a very comfortable position for me. So again, really nice. And I've had it as well. Sometimes if people are doing micro stippling work, they want to hold it right there. So again, fully adjustable, but then that way it can fit whatever your needs are.
Yes, yes. And going back to the handles, just the integration of the buttons on the handles is phenomenal.
Yes.
They're very intuitive. Compared to what they were on our previous machines. So if we're looking at the right handle, we have our needle up-down button. We have our start-stop. So again, with any project, the needle up, needle down, quick, simple option or way to go ahead and pull your bobbin to begin your project. Start-stop once your bobbin has been pulled. Again, very quick, simple. All you need to do is press it once to engage it, press it again to go ahead and turn it off. On the left handle, we just have a simple arrow up button and an arrow down button. And what these buttons do is they're going to help us adjust our stitches per inch of our machine. We can go up, we can go down. Again, just very simple, intuitive, easy to use buttons.
Yeah, so really wonderful. Again, that's sort of just a snapshot of what the 19X quilting machine is. It's wonderful. It is really nice that it does give you a full 19 inches of throat space, but it is actually one of our lightest machines that we have. So as far as setup goes, it is something that's very easy to do. There's even some designs that we've done or redone, I guess, with the packaging of the product so that the out-of-box experience is much easier for you. You're able to actually partially assemble the machine in the box, so you don't have to try and hold the weight of the machine as you put the wheels on. So very easy process. There is even some more visual or like digital instructions that we're working on as well that are literally going to show you what it looks like to fully assemble that machine.
Yes, yes. So all in all, you know, again, a fabulous addition to any sewing room. This machine, I feel it's great whether you're a beginner quilter and a novice or expert quilter, or anywhere in between. You know, ample throat space, the speed of the machine, the stitches per inch, you know, the features on the machine, just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
They really are. Yeah, a wonderful machine. And then we do have an elite version, which I think potentially, George, you're going to be talking about. If not, we can go over some of the features here. But it really is a wonderful, again, it kind of comes back to, hey, what features am I looking for in my quilting, and what features are going to make it just an easier process for me?
Yes.
Right. So let's go ahead and bring split screen here. So again, changing the agenda. You know, as I was watching you give the presentation, I was thinking, well, oh, I was going to show that. Oh, I was going to show that. But no, I've got some other things I want to show, and I'm going to do some live action on it. But what I'm going to show is the 19X Elite. Now, really the difference is the big screen. You know, I think the features are pound for pound, they're the same, correct?
There's one additional feature on the X Elite that the X doesn't have.
Which one is that?
And that would be the bobbin estimator.
Okay, I'm going to show that. So that's cool.
Okay,
But
awesome.
the thing about it, I sell a lot of sewing machines and I sell a lot of embroidery machines, and I always tell people that the screen enhances your whole experience, and I still agree with this here, because you're able to maneuver through all the different features much easier with the screen. So I think the Elite is the way to go. But you know, they're both wonderful, and they both have the 19 inches of space. So that's a cool thing. And what I want you to see here is how easy this goes back and forth. I don't want to let go of. And so the machine, like you said, is light, but on the Evolution frames, it has what is it? 8 V type wheels. So it's a total
So it's
of
a dual track system. So both on the carriage and what the carriage sits on the actual frame.
Right.
they move so wonderfully. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you a little bit about this, the 19X Elite, and then I'll go over the very specials here. So we'll be back to you both shortly.
All right, awesome. Thanks, George.
Okay, so first of all, let's go to the screen. And we'll go to the screen view here. And I won't have to go through the different buttons on here, but what you see here, what the button does, it does adjust the stitches per inch right by pressing up and down, but you can see the screen actually activates it. We don't need to go in close yet. I kind of want to see that. But I want to go to the toolbox, and the toolbox is something quite unique. So let's go a little closer now to the screen. We'll back the other way. Okay. So what you see is a toolbox. That's good. All right. And I want to go to the edge warning. They mentioned that. Now, this is really quite a neat thing. I can actually set up my area that I'm quilting. And why would I do that? Well, sometimes you don't know that you're getting quite just close to where, let's say, the machine is going to run into the wall at the edge of it, and you're going to cause irregular stitches. So what I'm going to do here is it says I can take this and set the top left-hand corner. So let's go ahead and go to the large screen here. I want you to see go to my full screen. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up over here, and I'm going to just say I'm up this far, and I want this to be set. And then we're going to go back over here. Now let's go to the screen, the left screen over here so they can see it. Okay, so here's my edge corner, but I'm going to come in a little bit because I don't want to come to all the end. I want to come right here. Okay, so I set that here, and I want to have it warn me a ½ inch in between. Okay, so now let's go to the screen. And you see that symbol is set. And that's going to be, you're going to see it. I'm going to demonstrate this. It's going to give me a red flashing light as I get a 1/2 inch in there. So that gives me a little warning. Now you see the bobbin in there. We'll go back to the toolbox. That is my bobbin estimator. And I have 53. I have not done very many stitches. I set it for 50 weight bobbin. That's what I named it, 50 weight, 55 yards. I have 53.4 yards left. Now what's going to happen is it's going to change from green to yellow to red. That's going to give me the opportunity to put a new bobbin. By the way, it has a built-in bobbin winder that we won't go into, but I will. On the screen here, I'm going to show some other controls. Okay, so first of all, you have the single stitch, but I also have the jog left, down, or right. And we're going to show that a little bit, but it's like having a hand wheel, and you can just barely lower the needle down. But let's go to the different settings. Okay, we've got cruise, they mentioned that. We have precise, we've got manual, and I've got based. Now, I want to go to basting, and I want to base the top of this here, okay? So we're going to go to the left side camera, and we're going to, I don't know if you can see this, but I have these are called, what I just left, they're locks, they're little channel locks, okay? And see the little red thing? We couldn't get our camera right in there, but this little lever right here, I'm going to set this so that it will lock this in, so that now when we look to the, you can barely see it from this edge here. So when we, let's go to this view right here, to the main screen. All right, there we go. Okay, so now, and then let's bring this down. Let's go actually to Luther's camera, and let's bring it down here. Okay, so this now is going to be set for basting, and it's set. I really can't move it this way. I can only move it this way, so that would be straight. And I purposely came out further on this here. So on my basting, I'm going to go ahead and go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go needle down. I don't know if you see that. Look how nice and long that is. And it's completely straight. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and bring my thread up here. I don't want to lock it off. But I just thought that was such a nice feature that they have built in. And let's go ahead and bring it over. So that was another diversion. So now, so the channel locks can be used for a lot of different things, but that I like that straight line. I'm going to unlock the channel locks. Now let's go ahead and on the screen, okay, I want to go to my difference between precise and cruise. Precise, what this does is that I can set my stitches per inch. Let's say I want to have 12 stitches per inch, okay? I want to basically, when I come around here, when I press precise, when I press go, okay, it's ready. It's waiting, but now it will stitch. See, if there's that light, I wanted you to see that. So I've come a 1/2 inch within my sides. I don't know what kind of design I'm doing. See that warning? I like that feature. But what precise does, it stops, and I want to have the needle down. Okay, so what it does, it stops and waits for me. So it's ready. So that's what I would use for ruler work. So I would stop, turn, stop, turn. But sometimes if I move my corner, I might lose. So see that? Sometimes I need an extra stitch. I'm just doodling here, okay? So now let's go back to the screen. If I was to work with stippling, I would go to cruise. And cruise allows you to set an idle, okay? So when I press go, it's going, in this case, it's going always 5%. So when I come here, it never stops. And so now it just flows so much better when I stipple, when I change direction, it always does one little stitch. And see, my points are much more precise here. Now I'm quilting with one hand, You see how nicely I'm doing this. I don't know what I'm making, maybe clouds. Kind of looks like flames on a car. I don't know. See, quilting is all about use. Now, if I want to stipple, hear that machine, it just purrs. So let's go to full screen. See there? Look at that. Look how nicely this moves. This machine, I'm only using one hand, and I'm stippling across here. There we go. We'll turn this off. So I sell a lot of different long arm machines, and I don't feel that you can even compete with the quality and performance and pricing that we have to offer on these machines. I think the 19X is the right size. They make a 21, but 19, especially with the price and what we're offering, is incredible. And so what we want to do here is I want to go over the specials that I have on the various models here. So let's start with the 19X. That's the model that Melinda and Laurel showed. And we have them priced with different frames. Okay, so the first one is the 19X with the cutie frame. Remember, the cutie frame will work with these, and sometimes it's a matter of space. And can you imagine having a 19-inch throat? Let's say you wanted to quilt something, you don't have a full room for a quilting room, and you want to just set up that 4-foot table, put the cutie on it, put this on there. It'll work beautifully. And so this is a product that is a retail value of just under $8,500 for $63.88. That's incredible for a 19-inch opening. Now we have interest-free payments of $174. I can't see that far. $177.45. Right? I've got a little screen showing me that. It's like, gotta get my glasses on. And it's interest-free. So if you think about this, that's less than you would pay to have a quilted once a month. I mean, because a lot of times they're $200-300 to do that. And so that's an incredible buy. The next one would be the same. That this is again the 19X, and that's the model with the small screen. But now we have the Quilter's Evolution frame, the 5-foot frame, like I have here. And this one is a regular, almost $10,000 for $81.98. There's nothing out there. And again, I sell several other brands. And so this would be $227.72. I think that's what that says. I'm getting a thumbs up. Interest-free, and that monthly payments there. And you can order these by putting, and I'll give you the 800 number, or you can click on the link here. But there's also a bonus coming on this here. So the last frame with the 19X is the frame that is the elite rolling frame. Okay, and so this, you choose the 8, 10, or 12-foot configuration. They're all the same size based on when you order. This is normally $11,600 for $92.98. That's a 12-foot frame with a 19-inch opening. That is incredible, and that is $258.28 a month, interest-free. Take advantage of that interest-free. And now I will tell you that if you don't use interest-free, that we have some other bonuses, but I have a bonus for everybody here coming shortly. So let's talk about the 19X Elite. That's the one I showed with the big screen. So again, you can put this model on a cutie frame. And so, by the way, for those who have cutie frames, you might just want to buy the machine. So when you go to our website, you actually choose the frame. That's an additional item. Now that's the price I'm showing you is with the frame. But if you already have a cutie frame and you want to upgrade to this 19X, this is the time. Again, I'm covering shipping and everything. We have it shipped direct from Grace. This would be normally $9,700 for $69.88. Interest-free payments of $194.11. $194.11. Okay. The next one is the 19X Elite with the Quilter's Evolution hoop frame. That's the actual setup I have right here, and this is normally $11,200 for $87.98. And that's $244.39 a month, interest-free. Okay, and the last combination is again the Quilter's the 19X Elite with the Quilter's Evolution Elite frame, the rolling frame. Okay, and so this you choose the 8, 10, or 12 foot, and the sale price is $98.98, interest-free payments of $274.94 a month. And I believe that's 36 months interest free for all of those. That's what we're doing. But there's a bonus. There's a bonus. Okay, so this is till the 14th. You won't see this anywhere on the website. You have to, only if you watch this video, you basically, if you put the in the notes at checkout, type in virtual, you will get a bonus. And this includes a ruler base, 3 different accessory feet, needles, bobbins, 4 spools of beautiful quilting thread, a $419 value. This is an exclusive bonus. And if you call in, say, I want the virtual bonus with the Qnique, and this is with all the Qnique models. That's not just the 19X, all the models. And this until the 14th, this is the bonus for the virtual event. And so truly, it's an incredible opportunity on this here. So now, I want to talk about automation. So I'm going to give, before I give it to the gals there, so they're going to show a demonstration on it. The Quilter's Creative Touch. I've worked with this for many years. In fact, Grace makes it for several other brands that I sell. I think it's one of the easiest and most thorough automation. And I sell more machines with automation than not nowadays, because you can see I can do stippling, but when I was trying to do some nice designs, it just looks like chicken scratch. Okay, so where I like automation, I can choose my design, and it's like having up to a 10-12 foot frame. If you have embroidery, imagine a 12-foot embroidery hoop. Well, that's what this converts it into. So we've got a special when you add the Quilter's Creative Touch. I think I reversed the numbers. It's Q keys. I did that late last night. And you get 25% off it when you add it to a Qnique product. So that's only for this month here. But let's give it over to Melinda and Laurel, and they'll demonstrate a little bit about the Quilter's Creative Touch.
Yes, we're really excited for this part. We did mention it a little bit earlier, so if you have stuck with us throughout this live, thank you so much. We're excited to show you now the automation. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. The automation is something that I love, because it kind of goes back to what George is saying, is free motion is not my thing. I don't know why. I can do swirls. That's about it. Like, I don't know why I can't seem to get anything else down.
I can't do feathers. I watched Carla the other day, and she was working on manual mode, 1 to begin with, and then 2, just coming up with this fantastic design that, looking at the stitches she had already done, I was like, that has to be automation. But no, it was Carla
she had done
free
it.
motion quilting. And it's like, I am not that good.
No, neither am I. So props to people that are, and if you are, that is fantastic. I encourage you, keep going with it. And even if you are, this is a wonderful thing to be able to do, because it allows you to get a perfect design every time you do it, and you're able to choose, how do I want the design to look? You can change it, you can flip it, you can take off a piece of it, you can add, so there is so many different things you can do with it. And I'm going to show you today a couple different things you can do with it. Super simple, like George said, it is something that's easy to understand. And even if you're not tech savvy, I know I get that often as well. They're like, okay, but I know nothing about computers or tablets. Am I going to be able to do this? The answer is yes. We have a lot of wonderful resources as well that can help walk you through what that process is.
Yeah. So, and really at bottom line, with automation, pick your design, place your design, sew your design.
Super simple.
Yes.
3-step process for you. We're going to go ahead and we're going to show you what that process looks like. So right here, this you can see is the pro version of the software, but super simple. These are features, that can be found with the beginnings version as well. So these 2 features. So this is a select and sew. So this is where I'm going to come in and I want to place a single block design. Right here you can see it wants me to tell it what its safe area is. So this is a really important step, because this is where it comes in and says, hey, I am working with the 19-inch throat space machine on an 8-foot frame, which is going to have a lot more space to work with than if it's 16-inch on the Cutie that we showed earlier. So what you actually do is you're able to take the machine and you use the needle as the point. For right now, I'm not going to move it too far, but you're actually going to go ahead and tap it. Once you do that, it's going to prompt you to go ahead and do the bottom right corner. So I'm going to go ahead and move my machine just to, again, whatever area it is you're looking to work with, using the needle as that point. And with this, I would say the big key is make sure that you have your machine pulled as far forward as it can go when placing that bottom right portion there. So super simple. I'm going to go ahead and tap it now. So now it's going to bring up a screen that talks about the different patterns that you have available with it. So this one, we are going to do a simple block pattern. So this is a demo version, so it doesn't have quite as many patterns as you will get when you buy the actual full software itself. But you can see I'm in block. I'm going to go through just so you can see a couple of the different designs here. Super fun. Again, it also does have the ability to import your own design right here. So these are all of the file types that it supports. So not only do we give you a couple hundred of patterns, you have the ability to fully, upload different patterns to it. So really wonderful. Again, we're gonna go ahead and come back here. I'll show you one of my favorite ones here that we have. It is actually a cube. It's like a 3D cube, but it's a continuous cube. So it's a fun one. I'm gonna go ahead and double click it. It takes me to a screen that looks like this. So with it, again, it can kind of look like a lot. Super simple. Just like Melinda said, we've picked our pattern. We now want to place our pattern. The key with this is there's 4 gray nodes here. So this is indicating the 4 different points of my block that I want to place this pattern in. So what you're going to do is actually take your machine, again, use the needle as the actual center point or your guide point. Go ahead and move your machine to where you want it to stitch. And I'm going to come place the upper left. So now again, I've got my needle where I want it to come stitch it out within this block. So I'm going to come to my screen, tap it. Super simple. You can see it highlighted it green for me. I'm going to now come do my upper right. Again, I'm going to move my machine over with the needle, tap it. And now this is where it starts to look a little funky. And the reason for that is it actually is sizing the actual pattern itself to the area I'm telling it to stitch out in. So just keep going with me again. We've placed the upper left and now the upper right. We're going to come do the bottom left now. So again, I'm going to move my machine down. Super simple. Tap it. Again, it's highlighted it green to let me know that I have in fact placed that corner. And again, we're going to come finish off with that bottom right. Boom, now you can see, again, it looks nice. Again, you can see it's shrunken it down for us to fit the size area that we actually want it to quilt within. So super easy. Again, we've now picked our pattern. We've now told it where we want it to stitch, so we've placed it. All we're going to do now is literally hit quilt. You can see it makes a little bit of a sound. It's connecting. This screen on your machine will now say quilt motion, which means this is in full control of your machine. Super simple. It tells you this green point is where it starts. The red point is where it's going to end. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit sew. You'll see it's going to go ahead and engage, and then it's going to actually move the machine to that starting point. See, super simple. It is going to do a couple tie-off stitches for us. So this is a really nice one because you are able to fully adjust how many tie-off stitches you want it to do. So sometimes you can have it do 5, you can have it do 3. Again, it's really going to be what you want to do with it. So super simple. Again, now I can literally stand back. It's going to stitch this wonderful design for us. Super nice. And again, it's really cool too where you can actually adjust the speed that it stitches as well. There's a slow, a medium, and a fast. So that I can say, hey, I am wanting to pay attention a little bit more to the design. I want it to stitch slower, or hey, it's a bit more of a simple design. It can stitch much faster for me.
I love the manipulation of the patterns, of what you can do with the automation. And with the Pro version, you can design the entire quilt, which is phenomenal. It takes all the guesswork out of your project. It may take a few minutes probably to, get everything in the software, place of your design and whatnot. But for it to do it and quilt it for you, the entire quilt, why not? Why not?
Yes,
So.
absolutely. It's wonderful. It gets those exact stitches for you. And as you can see on the screen, again, it highlights it in dark blue, kind of where it is in the process to let you know how close it is to being done. So now you can see we just had a conversation here and it stitched out the wonderful, cool 3D looking continuous cube for me, and it gave me those perfect stitches with it as well. So super simple. We picked a pattern. We told it where we wanted the pattern to go, so we placed it and we stitched it out.
Yes, and it couldn't be any simpler. And Laurel had said before, so many people, tell us, oh, I don't know computers, or I don't know tablets, or, I'm not technologically savvy. And with our automation, you really don't have to be.
You really don't. That's where we saw right there, it walked us through what that process is. We told it where we have, what space we have to stitch within, and then said, okay, what pattern do you want to do? Great. Place the pattern, and then we sewed it. So super simple. That one was just a block pattern that we showed you, but that's exactly how you would do it with a pantograph, with doing an entire quilt edge to edge. It's that same idea. And then if you are doing an entire quilt with the same design, it actually will prompt you to mark it so that you know where to roll your quilt up to, so it can look like a fully continuous design for you.
Exactly. And we have two different versions of our automation. So we have beginnings and we have pro. Again, as Laurel had already mentioned, we have the pro version set up today. Even if you start with beginnings, you can always upgrade to pro at a time.
Yes.
So many people ask, well, what's the difference between beginnings and pro? Why do I want one over the other? And really, the pro version, it has everything beginnings has, but I always say, it has additional features that enhance what beginnings already offers.
Yes, so as you can see here, I'm going to actually show you what the beginnings looks like so you can partly see some of those features. So this is, again, the beginnings version. So you can see it took away those things here on the side, but it kept the select and sew, so what we just did to place a single pattern, and then also the pantograph. So just like Melinda was saying, it really, with the pro, enhances or helps take your quilting with automation to the next level. So part of that as well is when you go to the pro version, again, you still have those features. Within it, you actually pantograph. You get a couple additional modes that just, again, makes the whole quilting from edge to edge easier. With the beginnings in pantograph, it only allows you to stitch out 2 rows at a time. So that means, hey, it's really fun if you have a pattern or a quilt that you want to do 2 rows and then switch it up with 2 rows and then different, it makes it really easy that way. If you are trying to do an entire quilt edge to edge, same design, it definitely is easily done with the pro version because of some of those additional features that you get in the pantograph mode.
Yes.
And then you can see here, just kind of quickly going through some of these other features. Super fun. This is where you have the ability to come in and create your own patterns. So you can see I'm on draw. This is where you can come and do, sometimes you can do like, oh, I want to do Laurel, right? Whew, don't judge me on that. All right, there you go. So you can have it stitch out Laurel. So now if I wanted, in a sense, you can go hit quilt. You're going to say, do I want to save my design? Yes. I'm going to go ahead and call it L for short. Great, you hit save. Boom. Wow, just kidding. You can
get name fits. I'd have problems to fit in there.
Yes, so you can fully go in, adjust it. There's even a feature where you can go in and smooth out the edges so it looks a lot nicer. Again, super simple. Go in, create a pattern within it. So that's part of it. So that's, again, I'm not going to go ahead and save it because I already did. That's the pattern CAD. Quilt CAD, this is a really fun one. This kind of goes back to, hey, I'm looking to do an entire quilt, but I don't want it to be just the same design throughout the entirety of it. So what you can do here is, I'll just kind of show you because it's fun, this bottom little thing, you can see it goes and it highlights every other square for me. I'm going to select a pattern. Let's say I want to do the cute.
Ducks.
Okay. Well, I was like, I'm going to do a little teddy bear.
You did the bears. That's fine.
Look, we'll do the ducks next.
Okay.
So now if I hit it, it's going to alternate and highlight the squares I haven't put a pattern in. We'll go ahead here. I don't know if there's an individual. Oh, I think there is. Let us see. I think it's in this one. Here we go. And now I'm going to place it. Boom, there we go. So it's super simple. I can come in, I can alternate what I want it to look like. There's different features like this one you can see here would allow it to highlight just the outer. So if I'm doing a border that way, I can do it. This one allows you to highlight just the center. So you can really come in, and if you want, you can even say, hey, I want to select just those 4, right? You have the ability to fully adjust it how you want. With, again, the pro version of the software. So we'll go ahead and show you just the last feature that comes with the pro. I'm not going to save my design. But the last feature here is record. Now this one is good for like our educational instructor, Carla. She has the ability to do some wonderful free motion designs. And sometimes I've had people, they're like, you know what, I've done free motion and I can do one design really good, but I don't want to sit there and do that for the entirety of my king size quilt.
Right.
So that's where this can come in, and you're actually able to hit start recording and move your machine to do whatever design you want it to do. So like I had a lady once who's really good at feather work, and so she could just nail it every time. She's like, you know, I like that, but again, I don't want to sit over there and quilt over my quilt with the same design. So she got this and was able to do just that, have it do that, and then it saved the design and put it into the software, so it then was able to stitch out the design for the entirety of her quilt for you.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It really
I always
is.
tell people automation, it's a whole lot smarter than I am. You know, but there's so much availability, capability. You can, you know, all of the customization. Yes, they're kind of preloaded designs. So the design itself, you know, unless you've recorded and created your own design, again, it's not going to be like that custom, but you have the great ability to customize all of those individual patterns.
Yes, and I do like to point out here as well, we'll just show you. So like in the select and sew, for example, let's say you wanted to take a block pattern, let's say this one. I'm going to just double tap it, let it open it up. This is where you do have the ability to come in, and this one looks the same, but you can come in and you can rotate the design. So it is still a set pattern where you can't necessarily take something away from it, but you can adjust it. I can shrink it. Again, I can make it go larger. I can make it do a stitch in the ditch so that once it stitches this out, it'll actually stitch a whole border around it for me as well. So it is a fully adjustable, you can kind of manipulate it to still look how you want it to.
Yes.
So again, it's a wonderful thing, super easy to use, just like we showed you at the beginning. You select a pattern, you place the pattern, and you sew it. And that's really how you do all of it. Again, the two different versions, the beginning and the pro. I will say the beginnings is a wonderful way to get started. I think a lot of people that we talk to though end up coming back with the pro to get the pro because of some of those additional features that just gives you that extra bit of freedom in you being exact of the design you want.
And you know, to just kind of come up with that, I would say probably about 75% of people will start with pro. Of the 25% that start with beginnings, I would say probably about 80% of those people within 60 to 90 days come back and get the upgrade to pro. But you know, do what's best for you, what you think you know, what features you think you might use, what's going to be the best and easiest for your budget. Again, whether you start with beginnings or pro, with beginnings you can always upgrade to pro. So again, you're not limited. And I know, you know, multiple times where, you know, throughout the year we're adding additional patterns into the libraries. You know, so it's a great investment to have for your quilting projects.
It is, and I did see a question that came in by Karen. It looks like it says, can you take someone else's design and use it on my own quilt if it's shared? So yes, that's where it kind of comes back here to when you're doing it, you want to make sure it falls into one of these file types here. Because again, we give you a lot of different ones, but when you are uploading your own, you do need to make sure, again, it can fall within one of those file types. But that's where, yes, you do have that ability to import your own designs, and that's where sometimes even online you can go and find a pattern you like, great, upload it, and now you have full access to it.
All right. Well, thank you, Laurel. I every time we do these, I always learn just a little bit more about automation, and you make it look so easy. And I know at the end of the day, it really truly is that easy.
It is that easy. It is.
So.
It really is. It's one of those things. After I sewed on the cutie frame, you know, with a domestic, they're like, great, automation. I was like, no, like, you know, I was like, hold on, right? But it was super easy. It was one of the first things I really did that like was a quilt. Kind of that I had finished with it. So it really is something super easy to use. And again, the key with it is even if you aren't, you know, super tech savvy, you can do it. And there are wonderful resources. And Moores is one of those so that you can feel comfortable with getting started with it.
Yes, yes. All right, George, any particular questions about anything we presented with the automation today? Maybe any questions you saw in the comments that we may have missed?
Well, let's. I just want to make a comment. Um, we've got a very good special on this, but I want to say that you, for what this offers with all these features, the competition doesn't come close. You could pay double the price for automation and not get
Easily.
the features. It's truly amazing. So I'm going to show price shortly, but I also want to put up there our 800 number again. If they have questions, we'll pop that up there. 1-800-865-9664, and customer service at moores-so.com. And so those are, if you have questions, you can contact us. Facebook, we do that. But let's do full screen. I'm going to do the pricing, and one more giveaway, and then we'll say our goodbyes. So as I mentioned, there's a special when you add the Quilter's Creative Touch with a Qnique machine. You get that. Actually, it's the 19X. When you add it, you get 25% off, and so that brings this down to $56.24. That's amazing. It's a retail price of $7,500, and so that's only when you add it in the cart or when you call in. With it, otherwise, it is $74.99. I think it's lower. We do have a sale price on it by itself, but it's best when you buy it with the machine. Interest-free payments of $156.24, and so last but not least, we have one more prize, and then we'll bring the gals back in and say goodbye. We're going to give away a cutie frame. Okay, this is a retail value of close to $1,200. Like, share, or comment, and we'll announce the winner after Valentine's Day. Wouldn't that be a great Valentine's Day? Now, if you buy it and you win it, well, you know what? You can re-gift for Valentine's Day. But like, share, or comment, you potentially can win this here. And so let's bring the ladies back here again. And thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
We always have fun on your shows, George.
Yeah, I can't believe it's over an hour and a half. It just went by like that. That's what happens. Time flies when you have fun. But I do want to say that these prices and these bonuses are amazing. You don't want to wait because there's certain limitations, and of course they end. What was the day, ladies?
The 14th. So
Valentine's
Tuesday.
Day. Yeah, don't wait till Valentine's Day to get your gift. And I will tell you, from my wife, when she tells me what she wants, oh, that's so great. So just go ahead and say, honey, I want a Valentine's gift of a Grace Qnique 19X Elite.
There you go.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a great thing for them to say?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Or better yet, buy your own Valentine's Day gift, right?
There you go. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. All right. So, all right, bye everyone. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks,
Thank
George.
you.
Everybody contact us. Take care for now. Bye-bye.